Yeah, welcome back to DXB Today, where we're looking into the benefits of a plant-based, a vegan diet. Tis that time of year, people are making resolutions. Veganuary, is that something you've considered? Is it something you've tried? Well, our next guest loves sharing his vegan dishes online for us all to savour. And he likes to call himself the Tofu King. We're about to find out, well, why? Please welcome chef and founder of Prunch, is Priyansh Parekh, who joins us live here in the studio. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
The Tofu King. Do I need to ask you where you get your protein from?
No. It's always such a weird question to be asked, and I know you said that was like, and every time I get asked that, I counter it with, where do you get your fiber?
Yeah.
Love it. I always feel like that's a good comeback.
But let's just put the record straight here. Tofu, great source of protein, correct?
Incredible source. It's a complete source of protein. Really well absorbed, dirt cheap, and the sort of like how much you get out of it is insane. I have a whole account dedicated to it.
I love it. I love we've got mountains of tofu in our fridge, and the kids always see it and just go, "What on earth do you do with that?" And yet there are so many.
There's so many things.
So many things you can do with it. Yeah. That's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, amazing. It's so versatile.
Yeah.
So my curiosity is, why tofu? Like, what started your journey into going into the tofu and vegan or plant-based?
Well, so before I went vegan, I really loved paneer, which is like an Indian cottage cheese. And as soon as I went vegan, I was like, there's a void that needs to be filled immediately. Yeah. I found tofu. I did not like it. I was like, this can't be what I've traded my paneer for. And then I did a lot of experimenting. I was like, I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep trying. And I tried, and then eventually I got to a point where I got really comfortable with it, and then that became the king of what I became, I guess.
Fantastic. So obviously you've got Prunch, which is your platform. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I started that platform as a bit of a joke. I just turned vegan, and all my friends were like, what do you eat? What do you even eat? What's going on? So I made this account. It had like 30 followers. It was just my friends, and I would just post, here's a sandwich I ate today. Here's a smoothie I drank today. It was the most mundane things ever. And then eventually people that I didn't know were following me, and I was like, why are you here? What are you doing? And then I got bigger and bigger, and then eventually that became my full-time career.
Do you think you've like educated yourself like along the way, and do you think that there needs to be more platforms like that? Because I remember years ago one of my friends becoming vegan, and all she ate were like chip butties, and I was like, well, that's not healthy. Yeah, it's vegan. Like, okay, you're eating potato with carb like a bread. It's like, but have you kind of found there's been an that's your diet, isn't it?
That's my breakfast. I just had it for breakfast.
What?
But do you find there's been an evolution of like, how you've kind of educated yourself and what you're putting out there also for
100%.
other people?
I think it's a lot of learning on the job.
Yeah.
When I went vegan, I knew nothing about veganism. It was pretty much overnight. So I had to learn it along the way, and still every day there's so many incredible creators on the internet that show you things to do with foods you've eaten your whole life, and you were like, wait, I didn't know this could do that, and this could do that. So there's a lot of education along the way. There's a lot of research that's coming out constantly that changes our perception on like vegetables and soy and all these things that we have so many misconceptions about. So yeah, I would say I've learned a lot, and I'm continuing to learn a lot.
Fantastic.
I love the point that you made about how versatile tofu is, and that I've been vegan for almost a decade. Sorry, I've seen that firsthand. That it's used in desserts, it's used in savory food. Just the other day, I learned about a restaurant in Dubai, a vegan restaurant, making pasta from tofu.
Wow.
So my question to you is, what's the most interesting way you've used tofu where it's not traditionally used?
Yeah. So this is funny that you bring up the pasta in tofu. That's where Tofu King started. I posted a video of a tofu gnocchi, and I made gnocchi instead of using potato. I used tofu puree and added it to flour to get like the protein up a little bit, and it's just easier. And in the voiceover for that video, I was like, I've used it for desserts, I've used it for savory food. I'm now making pasta out of it. At this point, I should be called the Tofu King. And since that day, it's stuck. And I always say a self-proclaimed because there was no election process. It wasn't very democratic, but I've taken it upon myself now.
But sorry, I think that tofu is I love tofu. I love fried tofu more than the raw tofu. I tried that once, wasn't my thing. But a lot of people don't know how to incorporate tofu to their food, like their dishes. I know as an Emirati, tofu in in a machboos or something like, or a mendi might be a bit weird. So how do you incorporate those dishes with tofu and make them more healthy and more plant-based?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of my account and platform is dedicated to trying to veganize a lot of traditional foods. One of my most viral recipes is a tofu shawarma.
Oh.
And when you freeze tofu, it kind of expands the water molecules in it. And then that freezes, you bring it out, you thaw it, and it becomes sort of stretchy and like a shredded chicken. You can really shred it the same way you would chicken. And then it's just a blank canvas. You can add whatever seasoning you want to it and then make it like a shawarma. And I've had it on one of my menus and people have come and tried it. And so many of my friends who would never lie to me said that it was almost identical to the real thing.
Right, we're running out of time, so question to you both just to wrap up, because I always remember that when, and I don't want to call veganism a trend or a fad or things, but one thing we're seeing is more and more people are adopting a vegan lifestyle, a vegan diet as well, which is seeing more and more demand for products, which is seeing more and more demand for what you guys are doing out there at the moment. One thing we've seen before is, when the world went organic, and a lot of people jumped on the organic bandwagon, and we saw prices going up for organic products, and we saw people putting organic products onto shelves that weren't really that organic, etc. when you actually looked into it. Is it sort of vital that people like yourselves and our other guests as well sort of keep letting people know what's right when it comes to vegan and not let it just get too commercialized? Is that a concern or not?
You've definitely got a point, but yeah, it's just about educating people, helping them stay on that journey and not jumping off, and just like myself, that's the reason I created this community group. And I actually write and talk about it where it's not just for vegans, but it's also vegan curious people.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the commercialization isn't necessarily a bad thing. We've spoken about how a lot of vegan things are much more expensive than the regular one, but if there's more demand, then eventually the prices will come down. That's just become normal.
Well, Your Royal Highness, thank you very much indeed. It's not often to get a king on the sofa, so thank you, sir, for joining
Very
us.
glad. Thank
all
you.
the best with the Kingdom of Punch. Yes. All the best with that one. Big thanks to Presh for joining us. And Chandan, thank you, mate. Thanks for joining us.
pleasure.
Thanks for being our guest co-host. Hope you've enjoyed it thus
Thoroughly.
far, and we'll definitely get you back on very soon. So big thanks to our special guests. They might be leaving to discuss all things vegan. We're sticking around. Why? Because we've got a debut, we've got a premiere, we've got a first of its kind here on the show. Flashy OTR will be playing us out with the first ever live performance of a brand new song. Ironically, it's called Ramen.